Hello.
Hello, board.
Hey there.
Happy day there. I am in August, so will be visible. Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Lyman, did you see that note that I dropped into the Slack real quick, having to do with the C compression certification? Wondering if we passed it off to the lawyer or not.
Looking. I'll look.
Could be an agenda item, depending.
Okay, you mean trademark. That's the word you were looking for.
Yes.
All right.
Hi.
All right. We have a quorum. We can go. All right. Magic, are you taking notes?
That's the plan. Don't think I have the link yet.
Oh. I'll make sure
It's in Slack, isn't it?
it is. It's 3 messages up from
I'll grab it from there. Yeah.
bottom of board of directors. All right. Liaisons. Do we have DPW? Stewardship. Caleb, do you want to talk about stewardship?
Sure. We are 4 work weekends in. The first official stewardship work weekend was a couple weeks ago. It went well. I think our total volunteers, if my memory is serving me correctly, was 54. That includes all of the quote unquote staff. We did a lot of work. We opened up areas that really needed to be done, mostly focused on safety and sightlines. And we got a lot of work done in the Ewok Forest, which is looking like the areas we can't use are about equal to the areas we've opened up. So it's exciting. Other than that, we have two kind of high danger, difficult trees that have to come down that we're working on handling. Other than that, we're posed and ready for hopefully a big turnout on Father's Day weekend. If you have any questions, cool. I'm here.
Any questions on stewardship? We'll hear much more from Caleb later. All right, Rangers. Tuck. Or any other Ranger Council?
I have no updates from Rangers. I missed the last Ranger Council meeting.
Okay. We will skip over critical for right now and come back to it. And that means C compression. Caleb, you're up again.
Well, hello again. You'll get to hear me talk today. Let's see. The most exciting thing is that Feynman signed the contract with the venue. That's really exciting. It's been a little bit of a journey, and at one point we were kind of scared, but thanks Feynman for continuing to work that out. So what that means is treasurers, I sent an email to treasurer at, and it's now time to get a deposit to NAF Revival. I'd love to get that sooner than later because it did take us a while to get the contract confirmed.
I can deal with that on Friday is when I'll do treasury stuff this week.
Wonderful. Thanks, Giles. I love that. What else is going on? That's still kind of a big deal. Oh, I have a couple. Well, we have 2 directors that are onboarding. Crystal, who is a placement lead for a couple of years with Decompression, has come on as our community director. And Tyson Lin, who is also doing design and has been doing design for Decompression for a few years, is coming on as our art director. So those are exciting things. We are working on things like the event plan. We have a draft of the budget. We have a draft. Well, I just started a draft of the timeline. We're looking to get leads applications out in the next 2 weeks. I connected with critical producers to see how that, if that would work out. Reboot gave me a go for it, so that's great. The things that I'm looking for from the board are, I'm open to questions, of course, but wondering who my board liaison is, or 2. And I'd love to get the producer's contracts signed because also now we've got directors onboarding, and although they're not signing contracts, we are asking them to sign NDAs and the leadership commitment. That's kind of my update. Do you want to talk about contract stipends now, or is that on the agenda later?
To me, it feels like that could be part of budget if you want to talk about budget. I also see a hand. Beth Starko.
That was a hand volunteering for board liaison if nobody else is interested. I'm not like needing it, but I will totally do it. Being the co-chair of the events committee, I do sort of have some info, maybe helpful.
I mean, that would be awesome, but I just wonder if how full your plate is.
Honestly, right now, not that full.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that it's not going to change, but you know, I like Reboot has critical full in his lap, so there's not that much for events committee to be doing for that, and you've got Decompression full in your lap, so there's not much to be doing on that. I'm actually like I just talked to Feynman earlier today about starting a new project for myself, so that tells me that there's not that much. I mean, not that I'm not working at critical, but I think
right.
I can be board liaison again. If anybody else wants to, I am happy to step down, but I'm also happy to step up, and I think I have space for it.
I was leaving some space for conversation, but that's where I love working with you, and I think that would be fantastic unless anybody else is interested. That would make me happy. So then your budget, I mean, I don't have a budget for you yet. It's going to be at least a month before I can propose a budget for Decompression. But the producer contract signed is kind of the next thing I'm looking for. And the stipend is something that the board needs to talk about. I'm proposing a producer stipend increase to $2,500 and associate producer stipend at $1,000.
Anybody remember what we spent on C compression producers last year?
I can bring it up. Also, we have that draft budget or the budget planned in December for C compression, which we could give you, which might help prepare your budget.
I mean, I've got access to the drive, so I've been looking at old budgets, but if you have something specific, that would be great. Um, my understanding is that the next thing that the board is looking for from me is an event plan. Uh, but I haven't I haven't signed a contract yet, so I'm also kind of like not sure because I haven't really seen the contract either. So I'm interested in all of these things. The answer is you spent $3,000 on production contract, producer contracts last year, 1,500 for each.
Okay.
At least that's my understanding. I could be wrong.
Anyone have thoughts?
We're so chatty tonight. I do not have thoughts. This is not my strong suit at all.
So have we historically compensated assistant producers, or would this be a first time?
We definitely have. I can
Okay.
look for that too. We definitely have it. Yeah, C compression. Marley, go ahead.
It started out at around 500.
For associates.
How many associates are you looking for, Caleb?
It's myself and Rye as a tech AP. And part of the reason I'm asking for a stipend increase is because we are doing a much longer run up, which is really going to be great for a lot of reasons. Also, a heads up, like the note that I will also say is Rye is probably guaranteed to not take that stipend, but I think it's important to offer it just in the sense of like kind of rebirthing C compression a bit.
Megaphone.
According to my notes, last year, the producer got 1,500 and the associate producer was 750.
Last year, meaning 2024. We didn't have any associates in 2024, did we? So
Right, but that was when we had the big budget conversation about critical in 2024.
Got it.
We
Got it. So we did
increased critical, associate, and regular producer. We kept the C compression. We kept C compression associate producer the same, which we had one the year before, and we upped the amount to 1,500 for producer.
Got it.
That's just my notes. It's very possible that changed when we had two producers. I'm not really sure, but I think that means that our budget last year was 3,000 if we had two producers. So
we increased it last year.
I think, well, not per producer. I don't think. I think
did we split it?
I think we said yes to two producers instead of a producer and an associate, or a producer and two associates.
And then,
but I don't think the 2024 rate was higher than 2023. But I do vaguely remember that it was a raise in 2023.
Okay, yeah, and it sounds like it would be a reduction from last year because there's 3,000 last year and 2,500 proposed this year. I do have some concerns about fairness with critical producer. What do we pay the critical producer?
Well, we give the critical producer a stipend of 4,000.
Okay, never mind.
Critical associate producers a stipend.
So this seems, sorry, I didn't have the frame of reference for the exact number. This seems pretty reasonable to me then.
Be more specific. What is this that seems more reasonable?
I think that the proposal seems pretty reasonable. A slight increase in producer pay, but less money spent overall than the previous year, and also not paying like a disproportionate like amount compared to the larger event. It just all seems to square with me, I guess.
Okay, Jimmer.
I'm seeing a $500 increase from last year, but I'm also not put off by it. 2,500 plus the theoretical 1,000 for an associate producer is on the table. Coming from 3,000 to 3,500, considering that we do have a run up that is, looking at us, and with inflation and all, and the amount of energy that Caleb is putting into this system, I am not at all put off by the particular request.
Yeah, I'm horrible at math, but I agree.
Just want to note that looking at the 2025 budget from December, we had only planned 700 and something for this. Let's see, 787, which seems kind of strange. So maybe that budget was misinformed about how much we actually spent on producers.
That sounds like miscategorizations from 2023 to me.
I would agree.
As I know, I mean, we have, well, also, I guess the producers haven't yet collected the final third of their compensation because they still owe us a financial report and, well, a final report for the event, which includes closed financials. So it's possible that by the end of the year, we had only paid out $750. And we need to figure out, I think we're going to have that happen most years with sea compression, just because the contract is structured as, I think, event plan, event goes, and then final report, a third, and a third. The one other point that I would make here is we're talking about a 67% increase for producer and a 33% increase for associate. I have no judgment on whether those numbers are right, but I think that that's a framing that we should consider. Marley.
Yeah, just a couple historical things. So 2 years ago, one of the producers was a board member, so that skews for a little bit. And then, yes, last year the final third. Also, going forward, we've been encouraging co-producers. So when we're looking at budgeting going forward, we may want to consider that it's probably going to be that amounts. So 2,500 times 2, not just 2,500 times 1. But that said, I think that is a pretty fair amount for producers. We're looking at 2,500 for associate producers.
Duck.
I also think it's relevant that we're talking about probably running an event with lower overhead, if I understand things correctly. So maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that estimate is not correct. But I do recall that in the event committee we had discussions about that possibly. So I feel like there's probably going to be some efficiencies that we gain through the management that make it worth the money.
And a substantially lower ticket cap. So I think the way to think about this event is not cheaper event, same size. I think the way to think about this is much more sustainable model for sea compression that ends up looking like a smaller event that's chiller and also a smaller event. So I think on both the revenue and expense sides.
That we
Okay.
handed to someone in enough time to do it without having to freak out and pay for a lot of extra things like, oh, we have to rush ship everything, right? Ideally, I mean, we tried, Caleb. We tried to give you enough time.
Yep. Here, Jimmer.
Is it reasonable to consider actioning this increase, but sort of attaching a freeze to increases for a period of time, such as 3 years, so that we can note the sustainability of this amount? Like, because if we're raising it substantially every 2 years, it might become overweight in a way. Is that something that we could consider?
We sort of, like, future us can vote to overrule things that past us imposed as obligations on ourselves. But I think that's not, and I think the question is not an unreasonable one. I question that implementation detail. I don't think a freeze for 3 years is how I would prefer to think about it. But one of the things that I think I have felt lacking today, and one of the things that I think would help both current us and future us answer these questions a little bit more adeptly, would be like just the trend data, right? Like, what did we do 2 years ago? What did we do last year? What did we do this year? With notes by it that say these are the changes we made and why. And that would be a wonderful gift to our future selves, because we literally have these conversations every single year, and we kind of wake up wondering what our historical context was every single year. So I want to get us to a vote on a motion here pretty quick. We've kind of been swirling for a while, but we've got 3 hands in the queue. K-Love, then Magic, then Tuck.
I would just add that part of why I'm asking for this increase now is also because I do hope to produce this event for a couple of years, and I wouldn't be looking for an increase. In my mind, this is kind of putting it where it needs to be for a longer run up, et cetera, et cetera. And then that's it.
Okay, Magic.
Just looking at what we have budgeted, we're expecting $84,500 of ticket revenue, and maybe if we have a sense of how many people can actually get in the venue and the ticket prices we're going to charge, we can revise that. And the total expenses we have budgeted are $87,800. So if we're significantly dropping those, it makes it a little more clear. I'm wondering if it's possible to have this conversation after we have some forecasting for ticket sales, or if we really want to increase it right now.
I mean, I can give you basic forecast. The 1,600 is the current capacity, which we expect to go up to 2,400 by October. I'm hoping to keep tickets at $60. But I am hoping to increase our comp ticket by quite a bit. But our general costs should be so much lower, in the sense that the most we're going to pay for the venue is 26,000 something. Plus that discount will hopefully hit. And then the other thing to be really aware of is there's a huge amount of influx of people that come in for late night. So we're hoping to, max out funds that way too. This is going to look a little bit different.
How many tickets did you say were comping?
I'm not far enough in to have a budget for you and complete, but I'm looking to up our comp. I'm in the sense of taking care of volunteers, making sure our production team is cared for, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't have numbers for you yet. I have an outline that I don't think is ready to give you yet.
Well, I think it's probably reasonable even with the 1,600 value, but I think with 2,400, we would well clear our revenue needs to cover the increase. Florida Tech.
Yeah, I just want to push back on the notion that we should be looking too much at empirics, or even necessarily thinking about it so much as like a budget issue, or will we be taking in more in the future? Because clearly something we were doing in the past was not working. And we do need to have proper incentives so that we get like a good applicant pool and that people are interested in the job. So I think it would be good to increase the pay, even if it's not consistent with what we've done in the past, or even if it doesn't look like a super economical choice. I'm still okay with it, because I think it seems like the right thing to do.
All right. Which of these hands are new hands? I've got K-Love, Tuck, and Magic.
I'm a new hand.
Okay, Magic, go.
My only concern there, Tuck, was we were considering not even having sea compression because it lost so much money last year, and I don't think we can do that again this year and have good finances unless like Critical just rakes it in or something. That said, we're not really trying to profit off of anything. We're just trying to break even and maybe kind of grow a little bit to increase membership. But I'm like overall inclined. I just want our attention to be to not trying to like totally lose money on this.
Yeah, I will. I will say one thing. I'm mostly supportive of where we're headed toward on this. We've been real good at saying yes to brand new appropriations every single month so far this year, and at some point, like, I'm starting to get brand new appropriations fatigue. I definitely have not gone through and looked again real hard at where we are against budget for current year. It's real hard to see through where we are against budget for current year when we've got our biggest event coming up, and we've got another event that has swung anywhere from our best fundraiser of the year to a $40,000 crater. And so I want us all to be super duper cognizant of where we think the money is coming from as we do appropriations. I am not a fiscal conservative, but I play one on TV, or at least on the screen in front of you right now. I think that we need to be careful, and I don't want to overemphasize that point, but I do want to make sure that we're not pretending that we have an infinite treasury and that money comes from nowhere, right? Money does not grow on the trees of the Endor forest. So with that said, do we have it? It sounds like, I think I know where the room's going. Does somebody want to megaphone?
Do you want me to make a motion?
That'd be great. You can do that.
I move to increase the producer stipend for seat compression to up to $2,500 and the associate producer stipend for seat compression to $1,000.
Second.
All in favor say, well, hold on. I promised a few months ago. Any debate or discussion? Excellent.
So I
Oh,
actually
fuck.
want to be a stickler on language a little bit. I think you said up to, you're saying you want to set it at that
Increase
amount specifically?
to, yes, increase to $2,500 for producers and increase to $1,000 for associate producers. Sorry.
Gimmer has debate.
Not particularly debate, but more of an addendum. I'd like to see that this language enters a contract that is delivered as soon as humanly possible.
That will definitely happen. C compression is in line for producer contracts behind critical producers who do not yet have contracts either. But our contract team is freeing up, having signed 2 event contracts in the last week. So we'll do that. Leads.
What was the previous conversation?
What? You were breaking
Previous,
up.
compensation.
Previous was 750 and 1,500.
So 750 is going to 1,000 and 1,500 is going to 2,500, right?
Correct. All right. Let me.
Two hands up.
Oh, hands. Leads just went. Magic.
Can we add to the motion to just fund one producer and one associate producer with this budget increase?
Yep, I guess proposal for an amendment is to fund one producer at 2,500 and one associate at 1,000. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Okay. So the amended motion is that for the 2020. Well, okay. The amended motion is to increase the stipends for critical producer to $2,500,
Seat compression.
C compression producer to $2,500, and C compression associate producer to $1,000 starting this year. And we'll fund one of each in 2025.
Okay. So
Sounds
I
right.
think what we were asking was that people put the final text of the motion into chat. Can we, not that it's unclear what you just said, but I
For the
think we
safety
want,
secretary.
yeah, I think when we want for the secretary thing, yeah, there we go. Cool.
Yeah.
Look, there it's there.
Feynman copied it from the secretary.
Yeah. The secretary, the
How
secretary,
dare you?
the secretary shot first. All right. All in favor, say aye.
I
All opposed, say nay. All right, the ayes have it.
Woo.
Magic, if you have the spreadsheet up, can you go to the tab that says notes?
I already
note-
did. Yeah.
All right. We should go back to, well, let's see. Caleb, anything else on sea compression for tonight?
I think that's enough business for the night. I would love to see a contract, but I hear critical needs them first, so I'm patient. And thanks so much, y'all. Appreciate it.
Yep. We will get you one. We will. All right. Critical reboot, you're up.
Okay. We are going to have a main sale June 4th, in which we're going to sell a whole bunch of tickets. It's going to be awesome. We have issued DGS codes for camps and volunteers already. We are planning to have the OMG sale June 18th. Other things are ticking along as expected. The event's in about 6.5 weeks. Everyone's very excited. I have a budget for you tonight. You all should have seen links to the budget in the board Slack channel. Do you want me to introduce that now or later?
I'm still not connected to Slack on my new phone, so I could use a link right now. It would be helpful.
Sure. Stand by.
Thank you.
But the question stands, do you want me to introduce the budget now or as a different item? Mostly asking the president.
Feynman, you're muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Let's do it now.
Okay. Oh, thanks, Magic. Okay. So let's take a look at the overview, and I encourage the board to be curious about things like large substantive changes and not get too into the weeds about nitty-gritty details. We have done a review process, as the producers team has done a review process, and most of the increases in department budgets they're small, first of all, and most of them are related to small incremental work resource improvements, inflation related adjustments, and the big notable change is DPW, and that budget is already approved by us. So I wouldn't consider that on the table to debate today because we already approved it and it hasn't changed. So as you can see, we are proposing, let's see, I'll go to the costs tab. We're proposing, that's not quite right. Yeah, we just built this today. It is built in such a way that it's hard for me to succinctly summarize what the expenses are and what the revenues are, but you can see on the overall overview page. We're expecting about $40,000 additional revenue from ticket and parking sales. We expect to profit more from ice sales because we have figured out better how to do that. We figured out that we can get that from Costco for way cheaper. We just figured that out last year. Some of the other notable changes, you can see that event/producer costs have gone up a fair amount, about $11,000. That's almost entirely things like we're covering more area, so we need more photos, and we are renting 2 more golf carts and things like that. So that's not a huge increase considering that. As you can see, as we talked about, DPW went up substantially. And everything else is pretty close to what it was last year. And we're expecting about the same net profit at the end of the day, which is pretty good considering we put almost $30,000 into the expansion project.
How confident are you in the $50,000 revenue increase?
I have probably the same information you do, which is that the last several years we have sold out within seconds. We believe demand is there. We will find out for sure on June 4th. I have no reason to believe that we will sell fewer than 1,200 tickets. I would be astonished if it stopped at 1,200. It could go, I guess, to 1,300 and peter out. I suppose that's a possibility, right? But even if that happens, we should still do fine.
Totally fair and not intended to be a trick question. It was kind of more is all of the, well, I guess you already said it's mostly tickets and a little bit of ice revenue is the new contribution. Yeah.
It's almost entirely tickets. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're also selling a slightly greater proportion of parking passes for what it's worth. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Great. Giles, I think, and then Magic. Yep.
Yeah, I was just looking at the overview sheet, and I think I've almost answered my own question. But at the bottom, the net goes from 79 to 77, which I thought would change a fair bit. But that's because revenue goes up and a bunch of expenses go up.
Yep.
So I'm looking at that correctly. Sorry. Thank you.
Magic.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that against the 2025 budget approved in December, this is about $6,000 less income and about $8,000 less net revenue, but still well on the green. So
Great. Okay. Yep. That's really good context. Good job guessing, board.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Any other conversation here? I think the natural motion is that we rubber stamp the budget.
I have a point of order.
Okay.
I believe it is proper that I vote on this. Does everyone agree with that?
I totally think that it's reasonable with your board hat on to vote for the event budget. We're not voting for compensation for you,
right,
or your family or your theme camp even.
Yep.
We're voting on the operating costs for the event.
Yep.
Agree.
Anybody have reason to disagree with that?
No, I think it aligns with his responsibilities as a producer. I don't think it's a conflict.
I do have one question on the hub budget. It's the only thing that stands out that went up by 3x.
Yeah, let me take a look at the detail. So part of that is we are in negotiations with some candidates to lead that department. Marley has been very graciously stepping in and helping out with that. But some of those things are our best guesses, but the significant increase is that the best we could find this year for an ice trailer to hold the ice that we buy from Costco was a greater expense, probably because we aren't just accepting the ice and trailer together. That's my best guess, and Marley may have a different perspective on that.
Yeah, we're basically returning to what we were paying a couple of years ago. So we went with a cheaper trailer supplier for the last 2 years. It's the same guy that Soak uses, but there were operational issues with that person. And he also provided ice. So it's a little bit of a one-stop shop. And this year, as they mentioned, there are some additional costs and also inflation and things like that.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
I move that we accept Reboot's proposed budget of 272,700 revenue and net revenue of 77,664.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other critical topics?
I just want to tell Reboot that I am talking to the insurance guy in the morning tomorrow. I promise I'm getting insurance. It's just taking a long time to connect.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also, in say that statement, I have cards for your producers to actually spend money in my hands, so I will get them into their physical paws.
That would be greatly appreciated. We are officially ready to do that right now, so thank you very much.
Josh, do you want any feedback from Beth and Akshay and I from the experience that we had at Soak, that we might be able to share insights from that experience with you?
In terms of
Oh, yeah.
being paid, or how you enjoyed the party, or what's the experience you want to convey?
Organizational synapses, things.
I mean, that's probably not a board meeting.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe not tonight, but I mean, like in the background, maybe we can have like a session of talking about that.
I began.
Fun stuff.
All right. Minutes. I think we didn't do minutes approvals for either the April meeting or the May special meeting. I'm not sure I've seen minutes for the May one. Maybe. Anyone want to contradict me on that?
I had asked for some help on preparing them or finishing them. but,
Okay. Okay.
we're
Fair
not
fair
done
enough.
yet.
So we'll work on that one and we can approve it next month. We'll approve both of the May meetings next month as a May bundle. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the April 16th board meeting minutes. Board, does anyone have amendments or debate? Right. Hearing amendments or objections. Does anybody have objections? There we go. Hearing no objections, the April 16th regular board meeting minutes are approved as written. Next. Right initiative. Who wants to talk about that? Marley, is that you?
It is Marley, as long as they are here.
Yeah, Here,
I'm
give me a
back up.
second. I need to
Go
pull
for
up.
it.
I'm driving, so give me a second. Okay, so the RIDE initiative. Things have been going very well. We had the application out there for a couple weeks. Producers asked for a little bit of an earlier cutoff for the application and for the low income ticket application. So we did a soft close on May 23rd. We had 10 board approved tickets and we have 37 applications by May 23rd, and we have 42 applications as of this morning. Beth Star had the math breakdown. I don't know if she shared it with the board or not, but I can go through some of the details. So some of the instructions were a little unclear. It looks like there were a couple people handing out the application that did not explain that it was primarily for BIPOC burners. So out of the 42 applicants, 14 were not eligible based on the instructions. So we had 28 applications that are solid if we're including all the way up through the timeline. I'm going to turn off my camera so I can look at the spreadsheet. And Beth Star and I went through and ranked them. We had 10 pretty solid yeses. We had a number of other applications that were pretty solid, and we would love for them to come if we had the ability to, and we ranked those as maybe. We had 2 eligible applications that had some issues and that we said probably were no's. So what we are coming before you today is to ask to consider to increase the number of tickets that we have allocated. And there are a couple of things that we are, or at least I am stating. When we originally set the number for the application, I brought the proposal for the board. And I said at that time that I was not ready to set a number of tickets. There was a board member who pushed for setting a number that day and having a vote. And so we did. And we set an arbitrary number of 10 with no thought or real guidance behind it. And since then, I've had the opportunity to speak with a number of other regionals at the Soak Lees Exchange. I had some really good conversations with Soak and Saguaro Man, who are, around our size or a little bigger. Soak last year allocated 80 tickets to their program, and they did 40 this year. And Saguaro Man is looking to us and to Soak for some leadership in this area as well. So based on what we started out with and the number of applications, if we considered increasing our ticket size, we would have 11 additional tickets who entered by the May 23rd deadline and 5 who went after. So we could, in theory, offer 16 additional tickets. And we originally allocated $2,100 or 10 tickets worth. The 16 would be an additional $3,300. One of the things that was happening at the same time is we also had our low income discounted ticket application open at the same time. And that was part of the analysis that I sent to Beth Star. We have historically allocated funds for that in a similar fashion. And those tickets are offered at half price. In 2023, we allocated 80 tickets for around $5,600. And out of those 80 tickets, 79 were approved and granted. In 2024, we allocated 90 tickets, and that was $9,450. And we actually granted more than 90 tickets. We granted almost $10,000 worth of discounted tickets. We approved 90 and plus 4 for fire performers. And this year, we don't have an exact firm number, but the baseline number that was discussed was keeping the number at around 90. As of this morning, we had 63 applications, and I'm not processing the discounted tickets for critical, so I don't know what producers are going to do for that allocation. But if they did allocate all of those, that would be an additional $6,615, and out of the 90 number, that would leave $2,835 unallocated. So in theory, most of the additional money that could be allocated to the RIDE program could come from the discounted ticket application. I would propose that that shouldn't be an apples to apples comparison, since the RIDE program is an INW initiative, not just a critical initiative, and it is something that we should be focusing on. It's not a high dollar amount. It is $3,300, and it's 16 additional tickets from applicants who are interested in volunteering. Some of them are theme camp leads. Some of them are members of our community. Some of them are first-time applicants for critical. So I would like the board to consider increasing the RIDE allocation that was previously made. Beth Star, do you have anything that you would like to add?
No, I think you nailed all the points that I was going to make. I think maybe the only thing I would sort of refocus is like this proposal isn't asking necessarily for a huge amount more money. especially since the ticket aid is also technically closed. I know that we've been sort of like about that. Like, I think the form is still open. But producers really wanted both the ticket aid and the ride application closed by the 23rd, so that we were getting onto the ticketing timeline with the main sale being June 4th and having kind of all our numbers, all our ducks in a row. So I don't see us realistically getting to what the budget was allocated for the low income tickets. And so that pool, I think, is realistically available.
And
But
there,
yeah, I think
yeah.
Marley nailed it. Otherwise, they definitely got all the points that I wanted to make.
The one thing I did forgot to mention is there is some overlap. So there are 2 applicants for the ride program that are eligible for ride tickets that also applied for discounted tickets. There are 6 ineligible applicants who also applied for discounted tickets. So there is some overlap between the 2 programs.
I think Reboot had your hand up first.
Yep.
Yeah. So just one thing I'd like the board to consider is that I was the one who asked for the deadline to be moved from the 28th to the 23rd. And when I did that, I essentially promised to make up the difference if there were people who got the wrong idea or didn't get the updated notice. So I would let's see. It was my intention to use my own discretion as producer and issue tickets to people who qualified but did not make the May 23rd deadline, but did apply by the May 28th deadline. So another way to handle that would be suggesting that the board at least approve that number. And you said that was 5?
Yeah, 5.
Okay. Just wanted to add that.
Next is Magic, then Jimmer, then Megaphone.
I was trying to keep up on the notes, but it was going pretty fast. I have that you're asking for 11 on time and 5 late additional for 16 total. Is that right?
Yes.
And then how many low income people applied this year?
63 total people applied for the low income application, which is much lower than we've had in the last couple of years.
And those are half price tickets. Okay.
Yeah, half price tickets. The application was it was a shorter time period for this year.
Jimmer.
I appreciate that the details were so concise. I am happy to see this happen in turn, especially considering the information that I was unaware of that you brought to light, that the allocated money for the half-price tickets is so readily available. I think that's a key option to allow for. And at the same time, it adds a whole lot to the event. So I'm really happy to see it in play. So cheers. Thank you.
Megaphone.
In light of Reboot saying people who hadn't got their stuff in by the deadline was technically tonight, and there was one other person who tried to apply today. And I'm wondering if we can extend to that person as well if their application is, but I'm not sure if they were even able to submit their application.
I checked. I didn't see an application under that name. I think.
Okay,
they'd have-
yeah. I think he wasn't able to submit an application. So I'm wondering, because he had the wrong deadline, if that can be put in there, since it was supposed to be midnight tonight.
It is, although he technically did wait 3 weeks and
Yeah.
down to 11 hours before the dedeadline to apply.
Yeah, I know. We did this a little bit with grants as well. And I think that sometimes people operate that way. A lot of neurodivergent people operate that way. I know I do. I have a hard time with the deadlines as well. So I just want to it's whatever, if it was just a thought.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying I didn't actually close the application, which was
Okay.
why I was like, I think that was what you understand about my message. Like, I didn't physically close the application until this morning when I sent the summary to Vestar.
Okay.
So Yeah. It's closed now, even though, but yeah.
I move to approve 17 additional tickets on top of the 10 already approved.
Seconded.
Just to double check that I understand, these are half price or totally free?
These are
Free.
full free.
Reboot.
Is a parking pass included or no?
We only we only allocated 5 parking passes, so it will be a little bit of a parking pass roulette that we'll go through, but not everybody asked for them. In the message I sent to the board, I have to go back and look at the email I sent you all. I want to say I think I said a third of the people asked for parking passes, so I'll have to go back and look at the numbers. I think a third said that they needed them. A third said maybe they need them. And we were going to probably do a lottery for that.
Sticking with
Or conversely, we could allocate more parking passes, but the parking pass situation is already going to be a little dicey, I think. So I think that might be your call, Reboot.
Yeah, considering that, since it was 50% previously, we could hold to that metric and go to 13 total. So increasing it by 8 and might make it a little easier.
So keeping it 50% of the tickets come with a parking pass is what you
Right.
mean?
Uh-huh.
Well,
Adding in-
there's going to be 27 tickets. So maybe like 27 tickets and 14 parking passes or something like that.
Works for me. I mean, but Josh, of course, has his hand up for a good reason. Please.
Yeah, I was going to ask Marley what they recommended, and so it sounds like an additional 9 parking passes. Is that correct? Okay. So I move to amend the motion to include 9 additional parking passes.
Seconded.
All right. All in favor of amending the motion to be approve an increase of 17 tickets and an additional 9 parking passes, say aye.
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 All opposed, say
Aye.
nay. All right, the ayes have it.
I see Beth's hand for a reason.
Well, I just wanted to clarify on Magic's original proposal, where this ticket money is coming from. Are we going to cart over because we talked about the idea of taking it from the low income and carting it over. Is that our plan? And does Reboot have feelings on that? Like, I just want to make sure that we're being clear about where these extra tickets are coming from.
In my mind, that's how I'm thinking about it. I recognize that doesn't cover the entire increase I think that we've got here. And I did want to total up what our fiscal impact is and make sure everybody has a dollar sign in their mind as we go to vote on this. So we'll work on that. Reboot or Magic, your hand is up, and then Reboot.
Yeah, I had expected this to be coming out of the low income program, given that the application's already closed and had about 30 to 40 fewer people in it. So I think it does maybe get covered by taking it out of that pile of money.
Yeah,
Reboot.
this is why we have 2 sales, right? We make a guess, we see what gets scooped up, and then we sell the rest. So as long as our guesses are all covered, which is the case here, it's fine. I also just closed the low income form.
Okay. Okay. So I think the revenue impact is 3,400-ish. I'm calling it $200 per ticket for the 17 tickets. And then the parking passes, remind me how much they are. Are they 50?
Yeah, for 450.
Yeah, so 450. So the total revenue impact is 3,850, just so everybody has a number in their head. All right. Anything else before we vote on the amended motion? Magic.
Yeah, I just want to appreciate Marley for a moment in championing this initiative. It's been a lot of work, and I really appreciate your work on it.
Thank you. And thank the board for approving this. It's very dear to my heart, so I really appreciate it.
I can tell you, I can second that Marley's been working really hard on this. And it has been a lot of numbers and a lot of outreach. I think the reason that we have so much participation is 90% due to Marley's efforts to make sure that the people that needed to know about this program know about it. So
I heard a motion in a second. All in favor of Marley has been doing an excellent job on this. Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Hey,
Okay,
So back-
Marley's going to go to ministry, so unless you need anything else.
I think we're good.
thanks, Marley.
All in favor of 17 additional tickets and 9 additional parking passes for the ride initiative, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
hi, Sarah's muted.
The ayes have it.
Typing for the chat, just a moment.
Okay, yep, no worries. While Magic is catching up with conversation, K-Love, you're up next to discuss asset manager update. If you want to start paging in what you want to talk about, and then after that, we'll talk about the budget for asset tracking software.
Hi again. The big thing that I accomplished this month is getting into the city container, and with Tyson's help, pulling out all the sound and light equipment. Unfortunately, there's no power in that area, so we weren't able to plug everything in. But with Tyson's help, I was able to identify everything. I know it's in there now. It's all organized. Our plan is to deploy it to C compression, probably one of the earliest things that gets deployed to make sure it does function, but use it for kind of a community sort of mindset, not one of our major stages. The sound system is old and outdated, and we aren't clear on how well everything works. But it's all organized now. And then the main purpose of doing that was also to try to figure out kind of the general cost frame of everything and what was going to get asset tagged and not, because I was kind of counting assets. So there's about 25 pieces of equipment. That includes some stage lights and a couple other things. The city container also got reorganized in the process of doing that. And the food, just so everybody knows, no food in that container. The food got moved up to the put into bins in the container in Granite Falls for life support. The other thing I found were 100 H stands, which I was like, these don't belong here. They belong up for critical. So those did get moved up to the Granite Falls containers, and I did tell folks in ArtViz that they have those. So for all the signs, so that's great. I spent 3 hours today, and I started a conversation with the tech committee about asset manager software. You all have a email I sent earlier this afternoon with a budget proposal. On there is a shredder because we need to get rid of a lot of paperwork that's in the city container. It's like $40. Because I think 6 years was the number I received from Jimmer. We only have to hold on to things for 6 years, and there's stuff in there from way longer than that. There's also just like $20 for just I need some duct tape and some Sharpies to just allow things to be easily labeled in all the containers. Also, I am proposing to build out during critical when the containers, the C2 is empty, to continue building out shelves that we desperately need room for rangers. Life support needs another bay, and parking needs an area. Thank you, Magic, for posting that so y'all can see it, the link to the proposed budget. So that's just basically doing exactly what has already happened. In those containers, my plan for during critical is to also, because we do have expansion happening and we have more work weekends coming up in that parking lot, to part of that reorg will allow a little more indoor space for things that happen during rainy seasons, and basically building out 4 more bays along the back of C2. And I think that number, I don't have it in front of me. I think that number was 200. And then there's been some conversation about asset management software. Magic has been supporting this, which is awesome. Thank you, Magic. Magic, I just caught that message you just sent me about another more free, open sourced program. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but we did meet Panda. Asset Panda is going to be $1,000 a year. It's a really cool program. It's got a lot to offer us, but it's really expensive. I circled back to a program called Sortly, which I was not enthused with, but the price tag is $288 a year, which is way more comfortable. I spent some time on phone with a representative today who showed me how to kind of tweak it so it does actually make a lot more sense for us. I really like that program. I think it's got everything we need, except for the downfall of that is only 2 users. But we can manage, we can make that work. But I think the question is that there's still some other open asset stuff that would be less expensive still out there. So maybe Magic, yeah, I was just gonna say, Magic, will you fill in for me?
Yeah.
Other thoughts?
There were 2 other options that are also open source, and we could self-host them if we wanted to spend IT time on it. But they have one of them a paid $400 a year solution, and the other was like a free tier that we can probably get to work, which is also hosted by them. Or there's like a low cost business tier that's about 400 as well. So I think it would be worth inspecting those still and maybe approving a budget for 400 for the software plus tax. So increase that line item in the budget will be my proposal. But we could still go with Sortly if it's still a favorite.
I think the thing that I am concerned about from my end is I'm not very techy, and Sortly has a very high like user-friendly use, but I'm still definitely in to keep talking through this with you. Thank you for the support.
Yeah. The 2 open source ones also have unlimited users and asset tags tracked in the system and kind of
Okay, good.
intent to support that, whereas there are marginal costs with Sortly and Asset Panda for either of those.
Yeah, that's true. And I think the last line item on the budget for asset management is just we're going to need to buy labels and printer cartridges to print out tags. And so that I think is the entire asset budget. I don't have the number in my head, but I think Magic, if you have it up, you could $600 some dollars
Yeah.
or a $200 or with an increase
Yeah.
of $400.
Let me do that increase real quick.
Thank you. Jimmer, is that your hand?
Yes, I just wanted to take note that Nonsense mentioned that it depends for some of those papers. So even though I got that 6-year number from somebody that I value, I would certainly circle back and ask a couple more people before I started going to work on those papers, especially, thank you, Nonsense. I appreciate your input. But I did want that caught, that input was there. So please look for that. Just thank you.
All right.
Okay, I'll happily figure that out. Sorry, go ahead, Simon.
Well, I didn't have anything. Magic, I think you have a number for us maybe now.
Yeah, the net budget would be 830, including tax, which I don't think was in the original budget.
Was that 830 for tax on everything, or was that just for the software line?
Oh, everything.
Everything.
It was 755 before tax.
Okay. Anyone have discussion on that? I think we had, well, I'm trying to remember how we funded asset manager in the first place. I feel like we had an asset manager line. And I think that would have naturally been where I reached for budget to cover this budget request. But I think we've appropriated the entire amount that we came into the year with for for stipend, which That's how I recall anyway. Does anyone have a different recollection there?
I'm pretty sure you are correct.
Okay. Jimmer, Magic, is your hand still up?
No, I think I agree with you generally. I would also say that this allows for us to use the paid solution, but there is probably a free option that might work. So just want to flexibility to implement it.
Got it. Okay. And Jimmer, was your hand up or was that Spurious?
Yeah, no, I was definitely thinking along the lines of the idea that while we may be extended on the asset manager line item, there were a few other line items that were not at all dealt with. Other positions such as the office manager, I believe. So things like printing materials, shredding materials, these would become INW assets that could be used by other officers. It would make sense to see these as valuable INW assets that can be more widely used by others, not just the asset manager, if it made sense for allocating money.
Magic.
In that thread with Jimmer's proposal, these are valuable items. The asset management software also allows us to track depreciation and where we buy things from and other things like that. So I think it would be actually pretty useful for accounting and for helping our teams track their assets over time, especially if we can get every department account, different accounts for tracking their assets. I know for Rangers it would be useful because there's a lot of asset management every year and radios.
We do have the 2-user limit on the Sortly, so I would appreciate your research if you are able to open it up around the open source stuff. If we can get more users, that seems to be a logjam of a concern.
Yeah, for that user limit, I'm sure we would just work around it by just sharing credentials among everyone, which is not good IT practice, but might be how we scrape through.
Rabbit.
So how does is there like a robust reporting function for it so that we can get a view of it that makes sense for talking about it?
All of them have recording capabilities by location and by department and other custom fields. So yeah.
They also have really great reporting, so you can produce reports, which is one of my favorite features. So we can track by things coming and going. There's also ways to group assets together into what some of them are calling kits. So, like an event is using all of the power assets. Those can be kitted together. There's just a lot of interesting things like that that would make it easier.
Cool.
Cool.
All right.
One final question. How easy is the software to use when you're in the field?
We only looked at things that allow mobile phones to be the scanning tool and interaction.
Yeah.
But we need Wi-Fi for that.
Yeah, and when I talked to the person from Sortly, she did say that a mobile app for scanning can still function offline, which is important for Granite Falls.
Cool.
All right. How do we want to do this? Who wants to go?
Propose that we accept the budget as proposed, and think good thoughts about it. Yeah.
Motion on the floor is to think good thoughts about the $800 budget proposal.
Yes.
And are we, I know Jimmer, you had talked about using the money from the office manager or the EA, I think it was basically. Do we have that money in the budget? Is this easy enough to do to just be like, we don't have this role, we'll put it towards this instead? I don't know, because I don't remember if we put that in the budget this year or not.
I also don't know. I don't remember where that would have been.
We do
I
have-
feel like we did keep that. I think we shrunk it. Our aspirations 2 years ago were to spend 15K on that. I don't think we believed that we were going to spend 15K on that this year, but I definitely remember having a conversation. I think we talked about like someone part-time helping to solve problems, yada, yada.
Yeah, I remember that conversation too, but I don't remember where we landed. Because I had such strong feelings about the asset manager role, I really like focused on that during that conversation.
Yep. No, totally. So, I mean, that would be in the admin class, and I do see. Oh, is that uncategorized? I think we had 4,500 for uncategorized professional fees. That sounds an awful lot like what we ended up using for asset manager.
Magic, do you have something to contribute to that project? Do you know?
Yeah, we also have about $5,000 for office supplies and other material supplies.
Okay.
Cool. Can I propose an amendment to this proposal that is where that money comes from out of the budget?
That seems totally sensible. All right. So I haven't heard any seconds yet.
Second, the amendment.
All right. And I guess we'll assume, we'll resolve this unless there's an overwhelming no here. We'll resolve this by treating the amendment as the thing that gives us what we're working with. So the motion on the floor is to amend the motion to say to approve an $830 budget for asset management supplies to be taken from the office supplies category. Yeah. Okay.
I think good thoughts.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Okay, so that's the motion. Now we need to vote on the motion. Caleb.
Oh, nope, I can wait.
You can thank us in a second. The $830, the motion on the floor is to approve an $830 budget for asset management supplies to be taken from the office supplies line on the budget. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. All right, Caleb, floor is yours.
I just have two requests. One is kind of related to sea compression as well, is working on getting me a card so I can spend these things and be accountable for them, and how to go about that. Giles, I'd love to talk with you about that. And then additionally, I did just put a few back up. Magic, I'd love to continue talking with you on kind of, making decisions in the next week if you have time, so we can get this moving.
Yep, sounds good.
All right,
Sweet.
we
Thanks
have
for the future.
12 minutes left. Let's try to make these next, one of these might not be speed round. Let's try to go through the speed round. So critical board participation. We wanted to talk about wine and cheese, and we wanted to talk about the 10 principles sticker hunt thing. Megaphone.
I just wanted to, so for wine and cheese, I had proposed that what we did last year was have it at UL. I would love to offer that again. I think we should do it an hour early this time so that there is an hour between the end of our event and happy hour. Because last time we ended at 4 and happy hour started at 4. And also Friday is usually our traditional Michael's birthday day. So I want to just make sure that there's a gap. So I was thinking 1 to 3. That was my, and I'm also happy to submit this to the guidebook.
That's on Friday usually?
Yes.
Okay.
This is
I
the
have-
event description from last year.
I have no protest to it being Friday at that time. Does anybody else have a schedule conflict that's going to be a huge problem?
I mean,
Yes.
I'm board member of the day.
I'll be working as a producer.
You'll have plenty of opportunity for people to ask you anything they want. I'm not
Yeah.
worried you can't make it. They're
You're
going to
allowed
see
to
you
tell-
a lot.
Yeah, and you
True.
can whine in different ways other than with a glass of something. You can say, "Oh my goodness, critical is almost over. Boo hoo."
No, we don't do the whining, Jimmer. We're there to be whined at.
Oh, well, fair enough. You can.
I think sorry, last year Marley was really the champion for this and kind of organized it and stuff like that. So I think that we need like a point person to be the organizer for the event, if anybody is willing to kind of rally the troops on this.
thought that was you.
Me? No. I just am offering a space
Okay.
and offering to put it into the guidebook, but I don't think I have the bandwidth to organize the entire thing.
We can work on details asynchronously, I would claim.
Yeah.
Although finding a sponsor would be neat.
I can
Yeah.
advertise marginally upon the thing that I'm planning to bring that having to do with this other thing that I'm getting ready to tell you about. So I can offer you some ad space free on some paperwork.
You're offering it to yourself because this is all of our problem.
Yeah, this is the entire board's thing. I'm trying not to take on another event that I'm organizing because I'm organizing a lot of shit that week. And I just want like someone to organize who's bringing what. And because last year we had people bringing wine, we're bringing cheese, bringing crackers. Everybody signed up to do a different thing. And then Marley brought some acculturation swag type stuff. So I'm just looking to see if we have like a sponsor for this event or if it's just going to be helter skelter, everybody show up. I definitely want everybody to be able to stay afterwards to help clean up.
So is there a list of things we need to bring?
We can dig last year. I think we had a spreadsheet. Didn't we have a spreadsheet? I think we
We
can
did.
dig last year's spreadsheet out, and that'll be a real good starting place.
I see it running around in Leeds' mind. I feel good about this. Rabbit, there's a smile on Rabbit's face.
No
I think we-
voluntelling, guys.
I think we really can sort this offline. I think
Okay.
maybe the most important part is, hey board, is everybody motivated to
Yeah,
ensure
like
that
are we
this event
motivated to make
happens?
this happen so that it doesn't all fall on like the person whose camp
Yeah.
is volunteering to
'Cause-
have it, please?
Because it's a great tradition, and also having a great tradition is not a good reason to set ourselves up for failing
Nope.
at a thing, right? So I think the one thing we absolutely have to come out of here with is do we feel good or not about finding a way to get the energy up for this event?
Yeah. We will be able to provide tables. We will not have cooler space or anything like that that is available. So if things need coolers, they need to come in coolers and then leave in coolers, that kind of thing.
I could definitely get it up for this event, but I can't be the spearhead for it.
Well,
I'm happy to bring cheese and I can make a spreadsheet to somebody, but I can't be the person that's like, hey y'all, I have too many things for critical already.
Yeah.
So I think here's the pitch. I think the pitch is, I think this will be a successful event if the board manages to advertise that we'll be at a place, and then we show up at the place, and then we manage to show up with some amount of alcohol, non-alcohol, and some amount of food. And like, that's the plan to beat. Do we think that we can muster the ability to do all of those things? I'm not even sure which of those is the hardest. Most of those don't sound terribly hard. But I do get the sense that, like, I get the sense that this year, the energy level this year is, we're going to have to do this casually, because I haven't heard anyone say, I want to do a bunch of planning. I want to make a sophisticated event. I think it's going to be board at a particular location at a particular time with some wine and some cheese. Sounds okay.
Yeah, if Megaphone wants to submit to the WWW, I will make a spreadsheet for y'all and send it to you to sign up based on the one you did last year. That knocks out 2 pieces. We've got tables. Like, as long as everybody can commit to being, like, most of us commit to being there and bringing something, I think.
Awesome. Anyone feel like we need to put more time into this? Leads, you look.
And we have a game.
Yes,
Oh, we do. Yeah. We have 6 minutes.
yes.
So,
Ready?
well, I'm not saying you have 6 minutes. So try to do this in like 60 seconds.
Oh, I
So-
was just saying that when we are doing the wine and cheese, maybe
Oh.
we have like a concluding game where
Oh,
we
you
do
can,
something.
You can plan a game.
it's a
Okay.
new Aqua
Okay,
Speed
I'd love
Rabbit.
to
So,
plan a game.
so Rabbit, the game that I'm proposing, it first off, this is an opt-out optional scenario.
You have
So-
6 minutes. Can you guys take this offline and chat between each other after meeting?
No, this is on the agenda. I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, this
All
is
right,
something else.
fine.
Well, we may be doing agenda triage to try to end on time. So
This is
like,
actually just a second, guys. Okay, so last year we had a scavenger hunt. Okay, and my proposal is that we do it again. This time, different printout, different people, different stickers, based on the principles again. So Rabbit, this is a principles thing. So does anybody not want to participate in this? That's my question. Because if so, then I will come up with some ideas around this and just go ahead and build it again, because it was fun one round. A lot of people really enjoyed it, and that's the plan.
Yeah. Actually, so Beth said that she might be able to convince Clinton to do a little artwork for us.
He's here right now.
do
And
we-
I have not proposed it to him yet, so shush.
Okay.
I will work on it.
All right.
busted.
Eh. That said, Bea and I already had a little action going on from that from last month's acculturation meeting. So if you'd like, and Rabbit, you were there for this. That was part of this. So yeah, it's in motion. So my request is, hi Clinton, how are you? My request is that if anybody does not want to be a participant, please let me know. Otherwise, I will be coming to you and asking you which of these do you like, and or something like that.
Great. All right. I don't remember who wrote this down. Board approval of and recommendation for a volunteer ticket deferral policy.
It's me.
Hello. Hey, Magic, go.
Hello. During our last meeting, we had very briefly and meta deferred talking about volunteer deferrals. I think there's a lot of popularity of this option for people. We haven't in the past offered it, except by sort of sneaky conversations and backroom asks. I would like for it to be an official policy for people to defer their tickets for up to 1 year. I don't have a proposal in this motion to how that's solved. I just want to propose that the board consents to this policy and recommends production enable it. So,
Beth Star.
I love the idea. I don't think it's a thing we can do in 2025. We're so deep into production already with Critical, and we're about to be deep into production with C compression, and we're switching to a new volunteer method. I think it's really asking a lot of production and VCs to take on a new project of doing that now. Do I think we should put it into the let's definitely do this at some point? Yes, maybe we start talking about it after Critical is over and the VCs can actually see how this new this software works. Are we able to get the reports that we need? I mean, you're asking a big, heavy workload for not only VCs, but also box office. And it's just, they are freaking busy. I mean, if you want to argue with me, Mr. Boo, go ahead, but I am strongly opposed to trying to do this right now. I want to do it. I just don't think it's the time.
only for reboot input. I will also note that Reboot said during the last meeting that he would bring a proposal for this meeting.
Yep, I sure did.
I actually think that kind of proves my point. Like the critical is doing other shit right now, a lot. Like I just stepped in enough to help with box office get back online, and people are busy and trying to learn a lot of new stuff right now. And again, I am totally fine with the proposal that we should institute this policy. I just don't think we need it. We can institute it now.
Nick, the policy mostly entails canceling ticket codes and writing down who canceled them.
I mean, it also is, again, I know it sounds easy, but if Marley were here, and I don't know, is Meckham still here? Maybe you can speak to a little bit, like, it sounds complicated. It sounds simple. It's not. And a little bit more why. I don't know if you have the spoons for that. But I want to hear from somebody else that's I was only the director. I wasn't in the mud. I just watched them struggle.
Meckham.
So a thing that has hindered this and would do so in the first year, whenever that is that the record keeping has not followed a consistent format year over year and hasn't always been consistently available. So a way that we've sidestepped the problem of not great record keeping is by having a policy that says it's not our job to keep track of your ticket deferrals. We've been making exceptions to that left and right for a couple of years. But that is the context I have as a past box office. Like, it's extra legwork. I don't think it's something that is not doable, but I will agree that it is a bit late to be doing that and maybe uncomfortably close to our ticket sale dates.
I would counter maybe that we should offer this, if we're going to offer it this year, we should announce it before the sales and before we send out the ticket codes.
I get the impression that ticket sales, that whole project is coming in incredibly hot right now. And I think any amount of incremental cognitive effort is probably very, very hard to resource. I do think that this is incredibly high on our organization's wish list. I do think that the org has an opportunity, maybe even a right, to have an opinion about what the priorities are for the production of future events. I suspect that the time for the organization to express organization priorities for event production is during the ideation stage for how we're going to do the event this year. And so I would be very comfortable coming out even of a meeting in May of 2025 with the framing for here is the platform on which we wish to build Critical 2026. I'm definitely less comfortable, although I'm incredibly aligned on goals. And Magic, I did see your plan, and kind of by the headline, it's just a spreadsheet, but we kind of all know that just a spreadsheet requires gardening, right? And I think that our gardeners are all very, 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 very behind the curve, above the glide slope, pick your metaphor, for pulling this in this year. That's the very, very distinct impression that I get from many, many, many signals that are kind of coming in from the field. And I'm not sure that right now is the right time for us to be able to land this, even if it would be super duper neat if we could. Hands up, Reboot, and then Magic.
Yeah, so we've had some, unfortunately, vertically aligned turnover issues. We lost the AP who was supporting box office, and then we lost one of the leads who were leading box office. It may occur to those in the room that June 4th is actually pretty late to have a maid sale. That is true. So I have a question. Magic, is it your intention to ask that 2023 volunteer hours be honored this year?
No, I was asking for 2024 volunteers who got a code this year to be able to push it off to 2026. So not like backdating anything to prior counting, just people getting a code now can reply to their code and say, can I do this next year?
Beth Star?
I wish Marley were here to give the numbers on this, but I know that we have already had an influx of emails from people saying my volunteer DGS code is wrong. It should be a full price ticket or full free, completely free ticket. I didn't get my email. I didn't get my code and I'm supposed to have one. So we already know that our records are inaccurate or at least do not match with our volunteers' records. And so the amount of work that is going to be just to make sure the people that earned codes, I mean, even Clinton is like, I think I got the wrong code. Yeah. There's just so much, and there's only one box office person right now. I am really, really relieved that we are doing the main sale on June 4th. I was a little worried that we weren't going to get there because we just don't have the people. And I think all of us this board needs to not burn out box office, and we need to not burn out our volunteer coordinators who are trying to learn an entirely new software and already dealing with small fires while they're trying to sort through records that are not ideal. I just don't think we have the ability to do it. And also, I would like to point out that the main sale is less than a week away. So you're asking for an extraordinarily tight timeline, plus everybody already does have their volunteer codes. Well, theoretically, we sent out all the volunteer codes that we had.
Hands, Magic, then Jimmer, then me.
I'll note that I was trying to push for this earlier so that the time frame would have been more easy and we could have sent it or configured this before DGS codes went out. I'd also add that there's a nascent volunteer committee that is kind of getting shut down by people here that are also shutting down this proposal. And one of their main asks was this deferral process and better hours, which we did vote on last meeting. But I think we should honor that ask, even though we're not following through and setting up the volunteer committee. We should still help their initiatives get through, especially when they're a net even cost like this one is. And I guess I'd like to also note that you mentioned burnout for VC and for box office, but this is addressing burnout for everyone. People feel like they have to be on this treadmill and volunteer real hard at the event, or they can't keep going to critical. And I think we need to let people off the treadmill with this deferral program. They need to be able to restore themselves, and to deny them that for another year is just not honoring the core thread of volunteer burnout that you're calling up.
Thank you, Magic. Jimmer?
We may not be able to have an answer for this question, but it might be a way to track this to at least organize a maybe, because it seems clear that a yes can't be promised due to honest technical limitations. This question is there a way to track people who do not use their DGS codes? Is that a visible thing?
That's what I was going to suggest, is there may be a way to make that offer in July, or August, September. There may be a way that we can run through the data for what DGS codes were not claimed, or confirm that DGS codes that attendees who raise their hand in August, when we do have the space, and have enlisted buy-in from the people that we need in order to do this, right? We can't really conscript box office volunteers that are already running on fumes. No matter how many other people's burnout problems that solves, I don't think we can conscript them.
Right.
So we need a persuasion campaign here, really. Right? I don't think we should do this through governance. This is my opinion. This is not policy. This is Feynman speaking as a board member. I don't think we should be pursuing this through governance last month or this month. To me, it feels like we should be running a persuasion campaign I think that this is probably a universally popular proposal. And I think that as a result, persuasion should be really, really easy. And we should be able to line up passion for execution from someone who's got the buttons in front of them. And I feel like that is a much, much cleaner path to success here. I believe the field when they say we don't have the capacity to fund this right now. I believe the field when they say that, right? Like we've got people that are in panic mode leading up to an event right now. And I don't know how to get in front of them in a responsible way. But if we can figure out how to do this in post, and as I'm kind of brainstorming, I kind of give us an 80% chance without even looking at the data systems involved. It may be when we look, the data systems actually support us doing this in post. Like doing I would like to cancel my DGS code that I did not claim. I would like to bank my DGS code that I did not claim for next year. And I think that could be the first, is it flawed? Sure. But I think that could be the first bootstrapping step that gets us to success here. Meckham and then Beth Star.
Wow, sorry, double muted. I think the point I'd like to land somewhere in between what Magic and Feynman are saying is that I like the direction here. I think we are mostly, as a production team, aligned in support of this happening, especially if it is a thing that the board would like to see happen. I specifically don't think it's something to ask for before the main sale is over. So I think it's worth starting the conversation now, but I'd really ask that you not ask the team to do this between now and June 5th.
Beth Star.
I am also very much aligned with this being a thing. And I am also very adamant that I do not think it should be a thing before critical is over. I am so into this project that I will happily step up and say, I will come back in August or September and I will pick this up and I will look at it and I will talk to the people that need to be talked to, because I probably am. I don't know which hat that would be even. I don't know if that's my board hat, my events committee hat, my production hat, but I have all of them and I know the people that need to do this thing and I know the system. So I want to see it happen enough that I am happy to spend time on it as my late summer, early fall project. And if we can backdate and say, hey, you didn't use your volunteer ticket and you still allow the people that had earned in 2024 to defer, I would be happy to do that. I can't promise that. I don't know because I haven't started looking, but I'm happy to be the person that picks this up and runs with it. It just will be in September.
Magic.
Yeah, I would add that we need to communicate that this will be an option before people decide to go or not. We can't just say, oh, we want you to come back. Sorry, after they decided to not go. That's kind of the wrong order. Also, I think the net revenue neutral only comes if we can cancel the DGS codes and other people can buy them before the oh my god sale, right? Any last sale. So we need to know ahead of that people are planning to defer so that we can free those up for general purchasing.
Reboot.
I would just like to make it clear that I don't think there's a single person who's opposed to doing this. I have yet to meet a person who's opposed to doing this, myself included. I've been talking about this for a long time. But as we've discussed, right, we only just like 6 weeks ago put into operation a new volunteer management platform, which will help us do this reliably. It has been somewhere between complete chaos and kind of okayish probably for the last several years. It hasn't been reliable as we've discussed. So I would like to do it well, and I also think we can do it after the fact. And so I everyone wants to do it, right? But if the board says you must do it in this specific way on this specific timeline, I don't think we gain much from that approach, but we do some harm. I think it still can be done afterward.
All right, Clinton, then Jimmer, then Magic.
Hi, can you guys hear me all right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. There were just a couple of military helicopters over, and yeah, it was loud. I will say Reboot actually captured some of what I was going to say. I have been a production member as well as super volunteer for several years, and I have also struggled with getting my tickets for several years, and it's been a battle. So I'm not going to recap what Reboot said because he captioned a lot of it. My only concern would to be making sure that we had a way to accurately account for and track these tickets. The only other concern would be the ticket buildup. Like, how many people do we have that are just like rolling over a ticket from one year to the next to the next? And having a system in place for that, like rolling over 1 year or rolling over 2 years type of thing. But yeah, Reboot kind of captured it. So I think that's all I got.
Next hand is Jimmer, then Magic.
Yeah, so I really think that this is something that the data must be available for. Feynman, I saw that the wheels running in your head. I'd love for somebody from our team of tech to maybe lean in and both be helpful and bring the curious eye that comes from this conversation into the box office to find out, again, if these DGS codes are not used this year, then can they be used next year? That seems completely reasonable. We just need to figure out how to track that data. So we need a body in the room who is thoughtful around that. And I would urge the IT team to maybe lean in and help the box office. Like we've done it before. We did it last year. And we're all the same group. I don't claim to be the greatest tech person, so I'm not leading the charge. But if anybody feels like they could answer both of these questions, both the overworking issue, the project that cats are overworked in there, and that we have this question of how to track the DGS codes, that would be a neat two birds with one stone arrangement. Do you know anybody who could help with that?
I had offered to implement this and deliver it fully and was told that would not be helpful by Reboot. So I'm getting a little mixed messages there. I do think I agree completely with you that we need to track the data, and I'd prefer that we notify people that they have this choice. And even if we're going to do it in post, they should know that the choice exists. And I'd prefer to just set up a simple form like I proposed that people can send in that they want a deferral, and we cancel those codes before the sale, whether they could use those codes, right?
It's possible that the box office would be open to volunteerism at this time. And at that
I'm
time,
just going to say right now, you can't offer something if you actually don't know you have it. And that's the whole point, is that we do this in post and we think probably we can offer it, but we don't know. And I don't want to send out a form to someone and say, hey, you absolutely can roll over your ticket. Don't worry about it. And then it becomes September and I start doing my work and I start talking to box office and I start talking to VCs and we're like, we actually don't have that data. Or we have it, we thought we had it, but we didn't. And so I understand, Magic, I understand your push and I get why you're frustrated. I understand, it's totally valid. Nobody is having a fun time with the timeline, but that doesn't mean we ignore it. Like, the truth of the matter is we can't say that, right? Like we can't actually, yeah, the proposal is to collect the data, but we don't have time to do that either. Like I know you and Jim are like, oh, we'll just go looking for it. It's complicated. And I only say that because I've had to do it. I was the GAPS director last year, which means Box Office and Gate were under me. And there were dozens of emails from people saying, you have my information wrong. Like, I know, again, just because people say they have a ticket doesn't mean they do. And just because we say they don't have a ticket doesn't mean they don't. Like this data is not clean at all. It's not just a go get this information from people or go get this information from a spreadsheet. It is very dirty and very messy and very gray. And one of the reasons that Reboot is working so hard to get us a new system is so that we can not do that anymore. So that we do have clean data. And so we can be like, but yeah, absolutely, it has to happen. But that's what I'm saying is it can't happen before the sale. It can happen in September when we don't have everything else on Box Office and BC's plate.
Yeah. My hand is next. To the point of several people in this room, I am positive I could wrangle a Doge-style execution of successfully deferring tickets this year. I don't believe that executing a Doge-style implementation of this from this room over here that's disconnected from where the action is actually happening is the right way to pull this off on the current timeline. I do not believe that that is responsible. I do not believe that that would be received well. I believe that that would be received as a mutiny by the asshole tampering board. And I'm not positive that the people who form that position would be wrong about us, right? I absolutely cannot support, and I will be voting no if this comes to a motion. I can't support doing that on this timeline. I just can't. I think this needs to be a persuasion campaign. Magic, I think that you've got a very persuasive campaign should you choose to execute this as a persuasion campaign. I'm not sure that even then, in fact, I'm confident that even then, execution before the main sale begins is not the right thing to do. Unfortunately, that comes with side effects you've declared too that I think are real and that I take very seriously. One is that it nerfs people's ability to make an informed decision here. Definitely would have been neat if we had that ready for Critical 2025. I'm not sure we can responsibly demand that that be ready for Critical 2025. I'm just not sure we can responsibly do that. The other one is this has revenue impact. It does have revenue impact. I think that that's a good point. I think we're exactly at quorum right now. This will have revenue impact, but I think that transitioning to this new program of ticket deferral, like it's going to have revenue impact. And like, that's not the thing that I'm most worried about. Like, I'm sure that there's enough momentum behind this proposal for us to get to the point where it works. I'm very, very concerned that we're kind of going in circles on a proposal. Like, I feel like I feel like we're literally having 30 minutes of conversation that we've had 20 minutes of before. And I don't mean to say that you're wrong, Magic. I think that everyone's biases here towards solving this is to solve this. And I also don't think that we can do a responsible job of getting there from here. Magic, your hand is next.
Yeah, as the asshole mutineer proposing this, who had also offered to do all the work and was told to not, I kind of feel a little funky about that. I'm not asking for additional work to go on Box Office beyond letting me into the systems to be able to cancel DGS tickets and collecting the data so that we can union the spreadsheet later, which I don't find to be super hard. But I also did propose this in a way where we could just leave it to Box Office how they wanted to do it. That's because Reboot told me to step off and not offer to help. I just think this is a mistake to avoid this opportunity to collect the data and then try and do it in post and make ourselves a big mess for the future, when we could also inform people right now and collect clean data right now. All of the work to clean the data to generate DGS codes, including people arguing about which code they should have, is going to happen anyways. This is just preserving their DGS code class for next year by canceling it this year is the proposal, or something similar to that if Box Office wants to do something easier. I think overall, this is like really frustrating that you all are arguing against your own interests so that we do it in post with messy data and we don't give people an informed choice and we defer this until who knows when, because we're going to forget about it after critical. Just would be so much easier to set up this program right now.
Clinton, is your hand still up or is it up again?
Yes, my hand is up again.
Great. Go.
So I will respond with fervor to Feynman's vitriol. I completely associate with that. We are in a tight deadline for critical this year. We have, when it comes to data, we have faulty data for the last, I don't know, several years regarding DGS tickets. Magic, I hear your frustration. I am totally there with you in that. However, I also feel we've got a fucking festival to put on and we have a timeline. And maybe this isn't a problem for now, but it's a problem that we can solve. And it is a problem that I am fucking passionate about because I've been fucked over by this system multiple times. And I want to see a solution. You have offered quite a bit of data and information towards how to resolve that solution. I don't know if that's necessarily something that we can accomplish before this critical. So I would venture to say, like my opinion, Feynman's right. We have to do what we got to do, make this happen. But I would also ask, what can we do to gather the data to create systems to make it so that when we are done with this particular event, we can avoid this in the future. And if you need support, Magic, on that, I'm happy to support you in whatever way I can. And I guess that's my main point. You question the faulty data. We don't have anything but faulty data. So how can we make that data not faulty and go forward from here? I think that's all I would say.
If we're giving out DGS codes, we've vetted some data that we trust enough to give out tickets, right? So that hard work is already done, right?
But what are DGS, we give out DGS codes. When you refer to DGS codes, are you referring to the DGS codes for camps? Are you referring to DGS codes for volunteers? Are you referring to half price or full price tickets or just guaranteed tickets?
Volunteer tickets of various classes.
Right. And I myself have been a recipient of multiple volunteer tickets that do not account for my hours.
I'm asking for the
Sorry, what was that?
I'm asking for the floor instead of this one-on-one debate.
Yeah. By all means, I'm out.
Reboot, go.
Okay, so I argue this is an artificial urgency. That this urgency is not real. We are talking by definition about people who are not coming to critical this year, right? The best possible data, the cleanest possible data that we can get is when we close the DGS redemption deadline, we will have a very precise list of all the DGS codes we issued that were not claimed. We can then set that data aside and send them an email at our leisure saying, hey, guess what? You didn't redeem your volunteer DGS code. We're going to honor it next year. We can do that at any point. That is the cleanest data, I would argue. It does not require someone to notice an email, to correctly fill out a form, to be truthful about how they fill out the form, right? It doesn't require any sort of cross-validation. It's just, did you use your code or not? So that's what I'm suggesting.
That has revenue impact though, right? Because we can't sell those tickets.
No, we definitely can sell those tickets in the OMG cell.
Right.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do that then. Is that an offer of something we can do and mention as an option?
No, magic is just what I think we can do, right? And that's the direction I think we can go. But what I'm saying is this is not the board's job to decide how we do this.
Proposal was for the board to give consent for a program like this.
Consent for a program like this. I'm not sure that we need to do that. It sounds like it's possible, and a comment to the zone of, you know, we think it would be nice if is more along the lines of where it's at. And I think Reboot has expressed precisely a plan. Reboot, among friends, can you put that in your list of things to do for after critical with the DGS code? Please email those people and let them know that they can redeem for 2026. I see Feynman saying no.
That's also not how this works.
I
Like, this needs to be a project, right?
It
Like,
needs
this
to be a
needs
project.
to be a project.
Okay.
This, like, maybe we're the customers of this process. Like, we're certainly the organization and can express organizational priorities.
Okay.
We can manage appropriations. We can set policies and rules and that sort of things, right? But like, hey, Reboot, can you take a to-do to send out an email? Like, that's
Okay.
not how this works.
15 minutes ago, I put out there, hey, what about seeing if the data is possible or if it's available? And then it circled back like that wasn't possible. I just heard from Reboot that it's perfectly possible. So
I don't think anyone
we-
thinks it's not possible. I think the core, well, I need to drop. Sorry.
okay, that's okay. No, yeah, it's 9 o'clock. But it sounds like a good idea, and it, you know, yes, please let's do exactly what Reboot just said somehow.
I mean, do we have time for a quick, I would like to propose a motion on this.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I would like to propose that I take on this on as a project to start at the end of August or beginning of September, and I will interface with box office, VCs, and producers to get those numbers and to make sure we can send those emails.
Seconded.
Can we also notify people that this is going to be a project?
I can't do that because I don't know what this project's going to be. I can notify them after the project has started, but I'm not comfortable with telling people this is a thing that's going to happen. And then when I don't know, I can't promise.
Experimental. Absolutely,
It's
it's experimental, and it's a goal. It's a positive goal. So
But I do think if we start it this fall, the end of summer, fall, we will have a system in place by next time that we can propose for 2026 in enough time for those humans to be thinking about it. Like, do I want to go to critical or not, March, April, and decide I don't, and I want to roll this over. I just don't think that can happen for 2025. But I think unless I run into some insane wall that I haven't seen before, having it ready for 2026 is realistic. And we can notify people once we have that. So that's my proposal, is the August, September timeline without talking about it for 2025 sale at all.
I don't think we have a quorum. One, two.
but what it sounds like is we got a good idea of an idea for the future. So thank you for that. I think we made
No,
progress.
we have 7 now, right?
Yeah.
You had 8, somebody dropped.
That's
Okay, well,
among friends. Sounds great. Talk to you later.
I mean, we'll put it on the agenda for next month. I mean, I can also pitch it at the events committee and try to get it passed there, but I still have to come to you guys for approval. So
I don't think this is a committee thing either. I think this is a project. I think that this is a
Yeah.
persuasion campaign and a project.
all right.
And
Well,
the
we'll
project
leave it.
and the project
Yeah.
has a sponsor now.
Hi.
That's great.
Yay, progress.
Peace.
Okay, friends.
Please send us an email every week, Beth, with what 3 things you accomplished this week with respect to this goal. All right.
Okay, I will backdate my motion to adjourn by a minute.
Excellent.
Second, all in favor,
Seconded.
Aye.
all in favor, hang up now.
Thanks, friends. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.